Hello and welcome to the last section of Chapter 3. Here are the answers for 3.5. You were working a lot with linear equations last night or yesterday. So hopefully a lot of this seemed like review for you guys. And then today we're going to get into 3.6. You're going to learn a lot of theorems today, most of them dealing with perpendicular lines. Dealing with right angles. A lot of it's just kind of writing today. A lot of it's really trivial math. But there's a couple of good theorems, and the proofs for the theorems are kind of fun. So, and then this distance between a point and a line. I'm going to talk mainly about that in class. It's a little bit easier to explain that in class. So the first theorem, like I said, you're just going to be doing a lot of writing today, and a lot of these are going to seem trivial. If two lines intersect to form a linear pair of congruent angles. So they have to be a linear pair, and they have to be congruent. Then the two lines are perpendicular. So if these are both 180, 1 and 2 add up to 180, and 1 equals 2, then they both have to be 90. And that's kind of the short version of the proof, which we'll be doing exercise 31 in your homework questions. And then this one here is really trivial. If two lines are perpendicular, then they intersect to form 4 right angles. Well, normally when lines intersect, you have one right angle, and then these are vertical, and then these are a linear pair, and those are vertical, so they're all 90. So again, very trivial stuff here. And if two sides of two adjacent acute angles are perpendicular, then the angles are complementary. Again, really trivial. If you have, here's our two angles, and they're adjacent, and they are perpendicular, so these two lines are perpendicular right here, and then you have your two adjacent angles. Then angles 1 and 2 have to be complementary because they have to add up to 90. So again, all these are really trivial stuff here. Given that angle ABC and AB is congruent to ABD, so these two angles here are congruent, what can you conclude about 3 and 4? Well, since they're congruent and a linear pair, they both have to be 90 and 90, so 3 and 4 are complementary. Pretty straightforward. And then these two are actually the two of the more interesting ones that I like, and the proofs that you guys are going to be doing number 33 and then number 34 in your homework. These are fun proofs. If a transversal is perpendicular to one of two parallel lines, then it's perpendicular to the other. So it's saying if J is perpendicular to H, then J is also perpendicular to K. And then the other one says in a plane, if two lines are perpendicular to the same line, then the two lines are parallel. So if M is perpendicular to N, or P, and N is perpendicular to P, then M will be parallel to N. And these proofs involve things that we learned with the from 3.2 and 3.3. So you're going to be using material from those two sections. Determine which lines, if necessary, which lines, if any, must be parallel in the diagram. Explain your reasoning. Okay, so here we're going to apply the two theorems that we just talked about. So I noticed that S and T are both perpendicular to Q. So S and T have to be parallel. And then P and Q, I should use different colors here. Okay. P and Q, I notice these consecutive interior angles are supplementary, so P and Q are also parallel, using same side interior angles being supplementary. And I don't have enough information about T and U, so I can't say anything about T and U, nor S and U. So I would just say P and Q and S and T are parallel. This is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow in class. For the time being, put this in your notes so that you have it down. It's distance from a point to a line. So the distance from, say, this point here down to this line here. So jot that in your notes. We'll talk about it in class. It seems way more complicated than it is, but it's actually a really straightforward concept. So we'll talk about that in class. And then here is your assignment. These three I know are 3 of the proofs, so make sure you give those a try. Thank you guys for tuning into 3.6.